Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes. We're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Thursday, December 13th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't came and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and Draftkings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to come check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. So hey, how you doing out there, Jeremy?
What's up, man? Just chilling. Ready
Yeah,
to get into some more NBA.
another crazy night of NBA, bro. I was actually just telling you this earlier before we got on the air. It's like, every year it's getting worse and worse with teams tanking, etc. Like I feel like there was a couple teams that came into this season already like starting to tank from day one. Like this is crazy. All these injuries, resting, all this stuff. This is stuff that usually happens towards the end of the NBA season, but we're barely freaking not even a third of the way through it yet, and stuff like this is already going on. Really, really frustrating, and that's one reason, in my opinion, that I feel there's been really, really high scoring nights just because, you're getting all these cheap value guys. Perfect example was Jeff Green tonight. The guy was freaking, 3,600, went off for 40 fantasy points. He was 65% owned. So it just pushed up the scores. Right now, our cash line for FanDuel, we're currently at 330. 330 is a very, very good score any single night. And it's crazy because we're fighting to hold on to all of our cash entries right now with that high of a score. What do you think about that?
I don't really know if I agree with you about as far as tanking and all that. I don't think that I've seen one team that I've said that team's tanking right now. I think there's a lot of drama in the NBA right now with a lot of guys that are in unhappy situations. You can take a look at the Chicago Bulls. I think that for one, the NBA needs to get a hold of contracts and hold players accountable. The Bulls are a great example. They're going to hold a mutiny because they don't like what's going on. They got their doors blown off by 56 points and then by 30, and they want to try and have some kind of a walkout and so they don't want to practice. You need practice when you get blown out by 56 points. Like you're not playing good basketball. So I'm not sure if I agree with the tanking part. You'd probably have to kind of give me some examples of what you think is tanking. But
A perfect example would be the Knicks. The Knicks are a perfect example. They've been like every other freaking game. They want to switch their rotation. Sometimes they give their good guys minutes. Sometimes they don't.
I have too much. I have too much respect for their head coach and his pedigree and where he came from to say they're tanking. They have a lot of guys that they run out in their rotation.
Do you think they're just trying to figure out what works best?
Yeah, they have a lot. It's an 82 game season. They have a lot of guys that contribute. I mean, perfect example. Compare the Knicks to the Clippers. Okay, the Clippers are playing the same exact way the Knicks are, the same exact way.
Yeah.
The Clippers just have a better coach, and they have a few better players. They're better defensively than the Knicks are. But you got Kevin Knox. Porzingis hasn't played yet. You've got the center Mitchell Robinson. You've got, they bring in Trey Burke. They've got Emmanuel Mudiay. They drafted Nicolina. So they've got a lot of guys that they don't know what they're doing with. And the only way to get these guys experience is to play them and find out what they got. So I wouldn't say it's tanking. I have too much respect for athletes as a whole and competitive nature of sports and how they actually got to be where they're at to say that, they're just straight up tanking. I mean, you could take a look at the Kawhi situation. And you could say, resting guys on the front half or back half of a back-to-back, they either have to do something about the schedule and not schedule these guys on so many back-to-back, shorten the schedule, or do something. I think that the players as a whole don't like the 82-game season, and I think that has some of what is going on is that the emphasis on all 82 games because 8 teams from each side get in. I think that's got more to do with it than just straight up tanking for draft picks.
Yeah, man. So enough of that.
The drafts aren't really that deep either. I mean, it's not like the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like
this year, there's a really good draft class, though.
Yeah, but when you say a really good draft class in the NBA, it's the first 10 guys?
Right.
If you got the 18th pick in the draft, you're not super excited about who you're going to pick.
Right. No, for sure. So yeah, man, I'm ready just to jump into these games and get them done real quick. Definitely NBA has been getting really, really wild. Past couple of weeks, crazy high scoring nights. Definitely, there's one guy that can make or break your lineups any single night. That's really what it's coming to right now.
Let me put a quick little point out there, okay, about strategy. Nobody liked the drop spot, and let me clarify why I don't like the drop spot. The drop spot was FanDuel's answer and their stubbornness to not want to put late swap in, okay? And for whatever reason, they don't want to do it, but the NFL has rules, right? An hour and a half before kickoff, you have to announce who's active and inactive. The NBA doesn't have that. So they have late swap for NFL, and they actually declare who the hell is active and inactive an hour and a half before games. So
Right.
there's no reason to have somebody from the early games in your lineup. So there's enough early games and only a few late games to pick your spots late and not have a guy who's going to not play in your lineup. No excuse in the NFL, right? But you still get late swap. NBA, you don't know. And the difference with NBA and the reason why late swap is important is because this has not changed at all. The chalk is chalkier in NBA because it's only 5 guys who start per team. And now the emphasis is even more on one guy will kill your entire lineup. And if that one guy is a scratch, like Giannis last night, if he would have been in a chalky spot and he gets scratched at 12,000, you have a $12,000 drop spot. So it's not that my point being is that NBA is different than every other sport, and one guy will literally kill your lineup if you don't get it right. One guy every night will kill your lineup. And if the guy that kills your lineup is the guy you paid up for, you're done. Your lineup's done. You mentioned Jeff Green in that spot tonight. Well, he was chalk. He's 65% owned. Don't get cute. Don't fade Jeff Green when you know he's going to be chalk. And that goes to our point of building lineups, right? Like you only have to. I just won a tournament for 10 grand, right? And if you take a look at the ownership levels, I had 2 guys that were below 10%. Everybody else is close to 20%, 22% owned. That's all you need to be different. Don't get cute and fade all the chalk. Because a night like tonight where a Jeff Green at 65% goes off, if you don't have him, you almost can't cash.
Yeah, man. So I'm ready to jump in this slate and get back to this Warriors game. Right now they're getting blown out. We'll see if they have some magic in the second half to come back against Toronto. So yeah, man, let's just jump into this slate. So the first game we're gonna talk about is gonna be the Los Angeles Lakers going into Houston to face the Rockets. This game has a 222.5 over under, and Houston's favored by 5.5 in this one. Real quick, before you jump into the Lakers side of things, if you guys don't mind, please take that quick second for me. Click the like button on this video down below. Hey, it helps me out a lot with these videos, and I really, really appreciate that from you guys. So go ahead, Jay, get us started with the Lakers side of things.
Look, so really quick, Dallas Phoenix could blow out. Chicago's had the doors blown off of them in 2 straight games, 56 points and 30 points. And then the Clippers are a hell of a lot better basketball team than San Antonio is. They just are. So you have this game here, Lakers and Rockets. So I would do my best to make sure you understand that tomorrow is not a cash game slate. It's really not even a GPP slate. It's a get some entries in and have a little fun with it. And I would stack this game up and look for some value spots in the other games. Starting with LeBron James at 11-7. If you could fit James Harden and LeBron James in your lineup tomorrow, do it. You got Josh Hart. I said this the other night about Ariza. You can't play Ariza because you don't know what's going to happen with the trade. We're on trade watch. Ariza didn't even enter the game. He just sat on the bench. So I feel the same way about Pope in this spot. It's the one guy the Lakers are trying to trade to get Ariza. So I don't want anything to do with Pope. Josh Hart, I think you can roll Josh Hart. This is a Josh Hart type of game that's kind of wide open. You take a look at McGee at 5,800. His prices kind of come back down to reality, and I think this is a good spot for McGee against Capella. Capella is not your prototypical center that will get down there and bang. I think McGee has an opportunity to get some easy buckets off alley-oops and some rebound and putback opportunities. I don't like Lonzo Ball at 7,300. I'd rather pay for Chris Paul at 8,200. Kyle Kuzma, I also think, is a little bit too expensive at 7,900. But LeBron James is definitely the guy that you want in your lineups tomorrow. Just lock him in at your small forward spot and move on with your day. That's pretty much it for the Lakers for me.
Yeah, man. And then, I mean, on the Houston side of things, I mean, you look at the obvious guys. I talked about Chris Paul last game. I told you guys he was too cheap at 8,200. The price tag didn't move. He got a triple double against Portland, 46 fantasy points. I think this is a good spot for him. Up and down game, fast paced, up tempo game. We know what happened between Chris Paul and Rondo and Ingram and all that, last time they played. There's definitely some bad blood. I think this is a spot that Chris Paul definitely gets up for in the morning. He's going to look to have a monster game tomorrow. And I really like Chris Paul, 8,200. Very fair price tag. Next, I mean, you mentioned it as well. James Harden, if you can get him in your lineups, you get him in your lineups tomorrow. Going against the Lakers, it's going to be a very up-tempo game. One thing that I would like to say really quick, though, is if I had to choose between James Harden or LeBron, I definitely would go with LeBron over James Harden. Thing about Harden is since Chris Paul has come back, I mean, he hasn't really had no monster games. I mean, you see it. I mean, he's, 46, 44, 46, 18, 50, 36. Well, at an 11.5 price tag, we needed almost 57 just for value. So, man, I definitely think he's in a great spot. I definitely think you do try to stack this game up as much as possible. But if I had to choose between the two big names, I personally would go with LeBron. But a guy I really do like as well is Eric Gordon. James Ennis is out. So I think he's going to get in that starting lineup. And if he's going to get, 32 to 34 minutes in this game against the up-tempo team and the Lakers, I definitely think Eric Gordon's in a really, really good spot. 5,000 is a very fair price tag for him. We know this guy has 40 fantasy point upside if he gets hot from the field. So I think that Eric Gordon is a really good play. And then, I mean, the only other guy I'm really looking at, on the Houston side of things is Capella. 9,100. I mean, the price tag is up there. Definitely the price tag's up there. He's strictly a GPP play for me because the Lakers do have two solid big guys in JaVale McGee and Tyson Chandler, but the guy's having a really, really good season. So I definitely think you got to consider him. He's going to be low owned. And then, I mean, lastly, a guy that will get, a couple of minutes right now since Ennis is out, it is going to be Gerald Green. Gerald Green's a guy we know can get hot, 4,100. The guy's pretty cheap. Last game, he had a decent game. 27 fantasy points. If he got us 27 fantasy points on a 4.1 price tag, I definitely think that we would take that. But for me, I mean, definitely you look at, like I said, Harden, Capella, but they're strictly GPPs. My two favorite plays on the Houston side thing is going to be Chris Paul and it's going to be Eric Gordon if he's in that starting lineup.
I can't believe that you're not mentioning Daniel House. That's the most elite play on this slate, in my opinion. Got 18 minutes. He played 23 minutes against Utah. He had 22.5 against Portland with James Ennis going out. Was the clear-cut guy who benefited from Ennis going out. The guy's explosive. He's minimum value, $3,500. I absolutely love Daniel House on this slate at $3,500. This is a guy who can win you a GPP, minimum value play, cost you nothing. He could be your drop spot, high upside play. I love Daniel House at 3.5. I think he's the best play on this Houston team with James Ennis out. And when I say the best play, I'm not talking about he's going to have the most points. I'm talking about he's the most clever play, the most upside, the guy who has the best opportunity to go 6, 7, 8, 9x in a spot where James Ennis isn't playing.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he's in play. He's just not somebody that really excites me. So we'll move on to the next game. Next game we're gonna go to, it's gonna be the Los Angeles Clippers going into San Antonio to face the Spurs. This game has a 225 over under, and San Antonio is actually favored by 2.5 in this one.
The Clippers got the doors blown off them by Toronto. Currently, the Warriors are getting their doors blown off by the same Toronto team. I don't expect that to happen in this one. I think you can play Tobias Harris for sure. 8,000 is a very fair price point. Harrell back down to 6,700. This is a type of a game where Harrell could really get loose and get off here. They don't have a solid center. It's a LaMarcus Aldridge type play. Pirtle's the guy that they've been playing heavily off the bench in this spot. So to me, I think you can play Harrell here at 6.7. The only thing I have to caution you guys with playing Harrell, and the reason his price is down, is that they have this new lineup that they like to roll out, and Doc Rivers has said they want to use more of it, which is Gallo with the 5. If that continues to happen, we didn't get to see that very much last night because the game got away and they got blown out, but it's something that they've been doing, and it's the reason why Harrell's price has gone down quite a bit. He was over 8,000 at one point back in the 6,700s, but a lot of that has to do with they like this new kind of rotation they got where they play Gallo at the 5 spot. So look out for that. You got Lou Williams, who's out. The guy who's seeing an extended run based off that is Patrick Beverly. Depending on who's all out tomorrow, you could also get run again out of this guy down here, Todosowicz, and he could be a drop spot play for you as well. Todosowicz got heavy minutes before the game got out of hand, knocked down some threes. The guy had six assists right off the bat, so he's another guy that's in play. And then Avery Bradley as well, 3,900. If you're going to play this slate, you're going to have to be different, and you're going to have to find ways to spend up for the guys who are going to go off. Avery Bradley allows you to do that at 3,900. Look, Boban, if you just look at the box scores, Boban had 25 fantasy points last night. He got those in like the last 7 minutes of that game because they got their doors blown off. Boban was not anywhere in that game at all in the very beginning of it. They started Gortat. So this is not a Boban game again for me, especially with Doc Rivers wanting to play a Gallo at the 5. So, you can look to play Galigius Alexander. I think he'll go overlooked tomorrow at 5.7. He just kind of had a little bit of a rough spot the last few games, but I think he's in play as well as a point guard too. Outside of that, that's the Clippers.
Yeah, man, on the San Antonio side of things, I mean, you look at the obvious guys. One thing I do want to quickly touch on, I think a lot of people are going to chase Forbes. He had pretty much the best game of his career, went off for 42 fantasy points, but I mean, when else has he really gone over even 25 fantasy points? This was like I said, best game of his career. He's bare minimum 3,500, so you can use him as a drop spot and kind of hope that he has back-to-back good games. But for me, I'm not really going to chase the Forbes game. It's kind of a stay away for me. I do like DeMar DeRozan, 9,600. It's not a price I really want to pay for him. But hey, we always talk about it. On short slates, the price tags tend to be up on guys a little bit more than we want. But sometimes we just have to pay the price for them. One thing I really do like about DeRozan, not only is he their best scorer, I mean, the guy's assist totals are very, very up this year compared to his career numbers. He's dropping a lot of dimes. I mean, you see in the past 3 games, he's got you 9 assists, 8 assists, and 9 assists. The guy's doing everything. So I definitely think that DeRozan is in play on this slate. You got Rudy Gay. He's their third best player, 6,400. Fair price tag for him. It's all about minutes with him. Sometimes he gets 30 minutes, 34, 35 minutes, and he puts up good fantasy days. But then sometimes he just disappears and he gets 23, 24 minutes. And then, we don't want a guy at 6.4 that's only going to play 23 minutes. That's just not something that I like to do. So for me, Rudy Gay is strictly a GPP just because we don't know what kind of minutes he's going to get. And then you got Aldridge. Aldridge, 8,400. Just for value, we need 42. I mean, the guy, he's got you 42 one time in the past 6 games, and he hasn't even got close lately. Man, I just don't want to pay this price on Aldridge. 8,400. They got a couple of solid power forwards in Harris and Harrell as well. And if they got LaMarcus Aldridge at the 5, what they've been doing, he's going to be banging against Boban, Gortat. If you were going to tell me, like you said that they like playing Gallinari at the 5. If Gallinari was going to be the guy at the 5 most of the time matched up against Aldridge will absolutely light up Gallinari. But we just don't know how many minutes they're going to be going head to head. Aldridge is just going to get some of the big guys guarding him as well. I'm just not really interested in Aldridge. I mean, he's just down right now. He's not doing, what the Spurs really need him to do as their second best player. A guy I quickly want to mention, you brought this guy up the other day. The guy actually, he's been getting some minutes, and he's been playing very well. He has some upside, 4,100. You need 20 for value. They may have to go big a little bit. They may have to play this guy a couple extra minutes. And if they do, he has upside. So I definitely think Potel's in play as well. I'm honestly not really excited about anybody on the San Antonio side of things. I mean, like I said, you just look at DeRozan, Gay, Aldridge, I guess, is a decent play, and you could throw in a little bit of Potel, and that's really it for me, man.
Oh, I was like Pirtle. You're talking about Pirtle?
Yeah, Poltel or I hardly
Pirtle. Jakob Pirtle.
right. So you ready to move on?
Yep.
Next game we're gonna go to is gonna be Chicago Bulls going into Orlando to face the Magic. This game has a 209.5 over under, and Orlando's favored by 5 in this one.
Man, I don't know what I want to do with Chicago, to be honest with you. I don't know, man. I mean, look, this team, they've got like a mutiny going on. I don't know what's going on. Here's the thing. I think one guy you can really look to plug in here, and you're all thinking I'm going to say Zach LaVine, but I think you could play Bobby Portis in this spot. It feels like a sneaky spot to play Bobby Portis. Coming back, hasn't got a lot of run yet, hasn't got a lot of minutes. This guy is like, we talk about Jimmy Butler when we talk about all the controversy and beef he gets into. Bobby Portis is the same type of dude. Let's not forget what he did to Mirotic. This team is clearly going through it. Closed door meeting that turns into a revolt. They get blown out. But I think Portis is a guy I think Portis is sneaky in tournaments, especially against an Orlando team that struggles. You don't know who's really going to be playing yet on the Orlando side. They've got a few guys who are questionable. Fournier's not with the team at this moment. He went home. That's all the news I saw, so I'm not sure if that's home like to another country or he's got a home somewhere outside of Florida or what. But if it's another country, don't expect him to play. So having said that, I don't want anything to do with the Bulls. Honestly, Wendell Carter, don't really want anything to do with that against Vucevic. Markkanen, don't really want anything to do with that against an Aaron Gordon. And LaVine at 8,100, I mean, okay, but Chris Dunn's back. So, and they said Chris Dunn is going to eventually start, and they didn't say when. So is that tomorrow? I don't know. There's a couple guys that I think consistently you can look to play. I think Justin Holiday is one of them at 5,400. His minutes are stable, even with Dunn and Portis coming back. Jabari Parker's the guy who's kind of suffered at 5,300. Don't touch him either. So I don't know. I tournament only. You want to take a shot on a couple of guys in the Bulls lineup, go ahead. To me, there's other places to pay up. They're not the last game on the slate, so I can't really see why I would need to get exposure here.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm with you. And one thing I do want to know is, at Chicago, I mean, they've had a rough start to the season, but bro, they're getting all their guys back. They got their point guard back in Chris Dunn. They got
that don't mean jack diddly shit when you can't get along as a team and you're swinging at each other and you want to fucking protest and all this stuff that they're doing. They don't want to practice. This is a mess. You thought Washington was a mess? This is a mess.
Yeah, see, I didn't even hear that thing about that they didn't want to practice.
Yeah, they protest. They wanted to protest, and they had a closed door meeting, players only, and what they came out of that was basically the new coach. They fired their coach, so that starts a mess. They appoint this guy as the interim coach, and he calls everybody out and says that there's too much talent on this team to be playing to level to be playing at. Period. Getting guys back, yada yada yada. So they hold a private meeting. The meeting turns into a revolt. Now they want to protest, which leads to them getting blown out by a combined 86 points in their last two games. So, I mean, why touch this team? They're not the last game on the slate. You don't have to have exposure with the Lakers and Houston. You can get Clippers, and then Dallas and Phoenix is the hammer. You can look to get a piece there. Like this game to me, outside of maybe Terrence Ross for Orlando, and Vucevic will absolutely eat in this spot. I just think move on.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you said it. There's three guys I like on Orlando. Terrence Ross, if he's going to get the start for Evan Fournier at 5,500 going against the Chicago team, I think that he's in an absolute great spot. Especially, like I said, I mean, even if he comes off the bench, you definitely can still use him. But if he's in that start lineup and we know he's going to play, 30-something minutes, I definitely really like Terrence Ross. Aaron Gordon, I don't know what to do with Aaron Gordon, man. I mean, he has upside. Definitely, we know that, but he's just been so up and down on the season. In 8,000, we need 40 just for value. It's not a give me price. He actually had, a couple really consistent games in a row. And the last game against Dallas, he just laid an egg. Aaron Gordon is in play, but he's strictly a GPP for me. And then you talked about it, Vucevic. I mean, Vucevic, I honestly think he's probably the best center on this slate. Even before this mess with Chicago, all year long, we have been taking centers going against Chicago. That's just something we've been doing, and now they're even more of a mess. Oh, I definitely think you go right back to the Vucevic well. Yeah, I definitely think that the guys, I mean, if you're going to pay up a center, I think he's probably the guy that you definitely want to look to against this Chicago team. So, I mean, on the Orlando side of things, it's Terrence Ross. Especially if he's starting, you put him in your cash line. If you're going to play cash tomorrow, you can look at Aaron Gordon, strictly GPP for me, and then you look at Vucevic, and I'm ready to move on to the last game.
I'm going to keep it 100% real with you right here. I don't say this often. I'm a firm believer that you cannot not play people from the last game in your lineups. I'm a firm believer in that. You have to have exposure to the late games. I'm telling you right now that tomorrow's slate, I think you can probably fade. I wouldn't be surprised if the winners of tournaments hold on through these last two games by stacking up the Lakers, Houston, the Clippers, and San Antonio, and just leaving these two games alone. I would not be one bit surprised if somebody holds on. You got Dallas on a back-to-back, and we'll get into that as we go to this next game.
Yeah, so then, I mean, now we'll finish it up. We got Dallas Mavericks going into Phoenix to face the Suns. This game has a 211 over-under, and Dallas is favored by 7 in this one.
So here it is. I mean, look, Phoenix is bad. The spread is 7, and part of the reason the spread is 7 is because Dallas is on a back-to-back and struggle with Atlanta tonight. So that's part of it. The other part of it is that we don't know what's up with Dennis Smith Jr. JJ Barea left this game, and so did Wesley Matthews. We don't know what their status is. I don't think JJ Barea not playing. If JJ Barea is out, Wesley Matthews is out, and Dennis Smith Jr. is out, I don't think it changes anything. Even if the only thing that would change is if all three of these guys play. And then if that's the case, there's only really one guy or two guys on this team you could possibly play. But if all three of those guys are out, then I think, Jalen Brunson at 5,500 is overpriced. It's a guy you could definitely play. He was in a chalk spot tonight and didn't deliver. He only took like 2 shots, I think, and was 1 of 2 with 2 assists. So he just didn't get any minutes tonight. He didn't get any run. And that could be because Dennis Smith Jr. is not going to play tomorrow. They're just planning ahead. Surprisingly, Dallas has played competitive basketball with this roster they've constructed. The other guy, Devin Harris at 3,900, he's another guy you can absolutely plug in at your point guard spot tomorrow, at your point guard number 2, if all three of those guys are out. If Wesley Matthews, Barea, and Smith are out, Devin Harris is a lock. Just move on at your point guard position. He's the most he has the best floor out of the other options, which are Brunson and Dorian Finney-Smith would see an uptick as well. But look, I'm not excited about this. I can see this game just being completely sideways, and you don't need any exposure to it whatsoever. So let's wait and see what happens from an injury standpoint. But I could totally see you not needing anything to do with this game at all.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I'm done with the Phoenix experiment. I'm absolutely done with it. I mean, the only guy I can really play on the Phoenix side of things and absolutely feel even a tiny bit comfortable is DeAndre Ayton. The young guy's getting his minutes for the most part. He's a double-double machine. I definitely think Ayton, is in play, but his price tag is up, and he has a tough matchup going against DeAndre Jordan. So Ayton's strictly GPP. Josh Jackson, he's a guy that he has upside. He's getting a ton of minutes right now. But it's like sometimes he has monster games and takes care of business, and sometimes he just vanishes off the face of the earth. So I'm just staying away from Josh Jackson. One more guy I definitely think that you could consider playing would be TJ Warren. Earlier in the year, this guy was getting big minutes. This guy right now is pretty much the best player, best scorer. They need this guy to score if this game's going to stay close at all. He only played 24 minutes last game, and he got you 23 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists for 32 fantasy points. That's really it. This guy, Melton, he's been playing pretty good, but, the price tag is really skyrocketed. You need 30 just for value. He's definitely capable of getting you 30, especially if he's going to play big minutes, like he did the past 2 of 33 and 35 minutes. But, I'm not really touching this Phoenix side of things. If we hear that, Warren is going to get his regular minutes, I definitely think you could consider Warren, and I definitely think you could consider Ayton, and that's really it for me, man. I'm not even going to mess around with any of the other guys.
No, I'm going to tell you right now, Ayton's the guy that I like tomorrow. I
Yeah.
love Aiton tomorrow because you take a look at his game log, and if you take a look at what he's done against other, he's played really well against centers. 45.9 against the Clippers, and we know what they have going on there with the Harrell, Boban, and Gortat deal, right? 32.2 against Miami. That's very solid for a young guy. You take a look at, you can go all the way down here against Detroit. They've got one of the best centers in the league, and he puts up 25 and 13. So the guy plays really well against centers. He's played really well against Aldridge. He's played really well against, what's his name in Detroit. I like Aiton tomorrow. He's in a spot that I think people will overlook him because of this situation. If there's one guy as a late night hammer that I'm going to play tomorrow, it will be Aiton.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm with you. Like I said, he's probably the guy I feel most comfortable with on this Phoenix roster that I actually play tomorrow. So, I mean, I think that's about it. I think that's about all we got for you guys. Quick little slate that, we broke down real quick. Warriors are currently down at, about to go into the fourth quarter by 16. We're about to get out of here and see if they can make a final run into the fourth quarter. It should be an exciting finish. Thank you guys very much for checking out this video and hanging out with us. We will both be back tomorrow with our NBA core plays. I do mine on this channel. Jeremy does his over there on the DFS Cheat Sheet YouTube channel. Make sure and go subscribe over there and check out all his GPP core plays. If you don't know already, I'm more of the cash game guy. Jeremy's more of the GPP guy. That's why I feel like we really complement each other very, very well. If you haven't already, please make sure to click that like button. Make sure to check out the site, man, dfscheatsheet.com. You brought this up the other day. Literally every single day when I log into the optimizer, I find something new every day. I mean, we're constantly adding, and man, in the next 6 months, this thing is going to be absolutely just insane. Everything that it's going to have. So yeah, man. I mean,
it's not just the optimizer either. I mean, we've hired a bunch of writers. Make sure you go check out the stuff that they're throwing down for in the article section. Drop down menu. There's all kinds of stuff. Our site's built on a process, kind of how we go about it every day. The drop down kind of mirrors that with game preview, DVP plays, value, etc. All kinds of new content on the site. And I'm about to hop on a call right now with our developers and work on putting some more tools up there. So you're right. Every day it changes, but don't just look at the optimizer. Look at all of the things that's on the site, man. There's tons of content going up every day.
Definitely. All right, Jay. Well, thank you very much for helping me out with this video. It was a quick, easy 4-game slate. Good luck on your guys' contest tomorrow. And that's it, man. Have a good evening. Take care. Peace out.